Hey guys, welcome back from Blah to Badass on Beautiful Badass Life channel here on YouTube. We're gonna do a little bit of talking today. Also, you're gonna notice that this jiggles a little bit. So I got this amazing new little tripod with the camera around, or the light around it, and when I let go of the light with my phone this way, it just goes meow. So I'm gonna hold it for now, but this should be fun. Anyway, regardless, today we're going to talk about relationships, and relationships are more than just your significant other or spouse or whatever you want to call them. You know, it's family, it's friends, it's your kids, it's every person or people in your life that you know, have a bond with. So we're going to talk a little bit about that today. It's going to get a little heavy today, I'll just tell you that right now, because we're going to talk about what I know about relationships, and one in particular being my mother. And it's a really difficult one. My mom's birthday was Friday, and my mom is no longer with us, so this one just kind of hits home today. But we're going to talk about relationships, we're going to talk about boundaries, we're going to talk about a couple different things, but you know, just this one's gonna be tough. Okay, so let me just start with the story of my mother and I. I've said this before, I did not have a crap childhood or anything like that. I had a good childhood, my parents were divorced, whatever. And as I got older and I had kids, particularly I had my daughter, I just kind of viewed things a little bit differently, right? You have a kid or somebody that you are responsible for, and suddenly you just see things in a different light. My mom had made some choices that I was not super fond of, and I really didn't want my daughter around those kinds of choices at that time. And so I started to pull back and pull away, and kind of set up a barrier, set up a guard, and that resulted in one ultimate thing that my mom did that I was like, nope, I can't do this anymore. I don't want my daughter around you, which was never said to her. I never said those words to her. I just cut all communication. Completely set up a boundary, set up a wall, cut all communication from my mom in 2015. And so that means my daughter was 4-ish. So I did that to what I thought was protect my daughter and my family, and you know, it was tough to kind of get around my daughter asking for nanny and things like that, but we did it, you know, and I managed. But the thing is I set that boundary, but I never told my mom why. I just cut all communication. And so for about 3 years, I didn't speak to my mother, not at all. On holidays, she would text me. On my birthday, she would send me flowers. She would always find out where I was working and send me flowers on my birthday, text me randomly that she loved me and she missed me and really wanted to see me and the kids. And you know, she did her part to reach out and make sure that I knew she was thinking about me. I texted her when I found out I was pregnant with my son in 2017. I didn't want to text her. I didn't want her to know. I was being super petty in retrospect and looking back, super petty, and I didn't want her to know these things. I'm like, why does she need to know? You know, she's not in my life. And I had ultimately turned this into, it was her fault she wasn't in my life and in my kids' life, so she didn't need to know about me being pregnant. I have a very good relationship with my grandmother, who's her mom, and you know, she's like, you really need to tell your mom. I was like, fine, fuck it, whatever. So I sent my mom a text message. I was like, hey, just want to let you know that I'm pregnant. And you know, she was super excited, and I didn't respond. I just let her be excited. And that was in 2017, and I had my son in September of 2017. So January 2018 rolls around. Still no communication with my mom other than telling her I was pregnant. January 2018 rolls around, and my mom messaged and had told us Happy New Year. She would love pictures of the kids and would love to see us. And I had a tug. And by this point, I had also done some of my own inner work, right? And kind of thought at this point, she needs to see her grandkids. We can have the conversation of why I set the boundary that I set, and why that barrier was there. So I text her back, and we text for a little while. And she said, well, can I come out and see you and the kids? And she did, and we started. I saw her at least once a week until April 13th. And April 13th of 2018, I got a call from her boyfriend's son. Hey, Jesse, we found your mom laying on the floor. And I couldn't fucking breathe. I was picking up my kids from my in-laws, at the time, in-laws. And my mother-in-law looked at me and she's like, what's wrong? I was like, they found my mom on the floor. So the kids stayed there, and I drove to her boyfriend's house, and she was gone. And I am, there are so many emotions around that. I am so thankful that my gut told me, you know what, maybe it's time to talk to her. But then, you know, I am so pissed off at myself, because what I did was put up a barrier, a boundary. I wouldn't even call it a boundary. It was no longer a boundary. I cut her out of my life for 3 years. And she did all the things that you should do when you're trying to mend a relationship, or just to let somebody know you're thinking about them. She'd reach out, she'd send flowers. I don't know, you don't have to send flowers, people, but I mean, like, just let them know that they're on your mind, right? Well, and I wouldn't respond. And that was okay, because she kept trying. But what I did was super petty. I waited 3 years to have a discussion with my mother on why I had cut her out of my life and out of my kids' life, instead of just saying, hey, this is what happened, I don't agree with it, I'm pissed off, and gone from there. Now, some of you have had those conversations with people in your life. I'm not saying this to be like, oh, woe is me. The situation fucking sucks, and it hurts every day. Her birthday was Friday. It hurts every day. And it hurts my daughter, who turned 11 today, who's so excited it's her birthday. But at the same time, she said, I miss Nani. So what I did was super petty. And some of you have had these discussions with people in your life where they've done something wrong, and you have the balls to say, hey, I don't like that, I don't want to be around that, so this is the option here, or I'm setting up some boundaries. And that will do one of two things. One, the person will be like, oh shit, sorry, you know, let's work through this, and you mend that relationship, and you still have a small boundary set up, and you're kind of watching for those behaviors or whatever you don't want to be around. Or you get somebody coming back defensive, and they're just pissed off, saying that you're being this, that, and the other, and that would, ultimately you end up cutting them out of your life. So, and if that's what happens, and you've set that, you've said your piece, you've told them why you are feeling this way and are the way you are towards their behavior, and they still don't choose to accept it, that's on them. It is no longer your problem. But what I'm saying is if you have completely cut relationships out, you've completely cut ties with people, and you didn't even have the balls to say, this is why, maybe you need to revisit that. Because if you're holding that grudge against them, then that's weighing way more on you than it could be on them. And that's what I did. I had such disdain for my mother over 3 years. And everything that came out of my mouth about her was awful. But yes, had she done something? Yes. Did I tell her about it? No, not till 3 years later. So all that shit that I held on to and refused to tell her about, she didn't even know why I was mad. So there was 3 years gone. 3 years that, my kids didn't have with their grandmother. 3 years I didn't have with my mom. And I thought I was doing right. And you can't see the future and you don't know what's coming, but relationships are important. Boundaries are important. You hear that a lot. Set boundaries. Do this, do that. But my gosh, if you are going to set a boundary, at least let the person know why. If they don't want to hear it, that's their problem. Don't just cut people out because they did something and they don't even know what they did. If you can't talk about the issue, then 1, it's not bothering you that bad, or 2, you're a puss. I was a puss. I will own it, and I do not live my life that way anymore because it's not worth it. It's not worth holding on to all that emotion, whether it be anger or hurt or whatever that person has caused. It's not worth hanging on to. All it does is drag you down every fucking day, whether you realize it or not. The more negative energy, the more negative shit you hold on to, the more negative you're gonna be. So why not just tell them? You don't have to be an asshole about it. Hey, I don't like that you did blah, blah, blah. Hey, it pissed me off that you did this. Cool. Okay. People can say they're upset with me, and I'm like, okay, well, I'll either do this or this. You have to have honest conversations in your relationships, or they're just gonna fizzle out, or you're gonna have this platform of lies and sugar-coated bullshit, which is no fun, because eventually you will end up walking on eggshells around those people. Coming from a person that did that for a while too, and also ended up with some amazingly high anxiety from it. So, takeaways. Set boundaries in your relationship. That's fine. But be sure you tell the person why you are setting that boundary. If they don't respond, or if they respond in a negative manner, fuck them. Cool, that's on them. You tried. But do not cut somebody out without telling them why, unless you have, I understand there are some variables there and some extenuating circumstances where somebody has to be gone for safety reasons. That I get. What I'm saying is that a lot of people don't have honest conversations anymore with people that they have relationships with. That's pretty damn important, especially in today's time. If you can't say it, then why are you if you're not comfortable enough with the person that you are in a relationship with, friends, spouses, significant others, whatever, kids even, if you're not comfortable enough to have those conversations with them, what are you doing other than holding on to it and stewing on it? So there's that. That's all for today's little video. I've got to get back to work now, but I love you all dearly. Find me on Instagram at Beautiful Badass Life. You can check out my website at beautifulbadasslife.com. Shoot me questions that you have, whatever. Find me on social, subscribe to my channel here, all the cool YouTube shit spiel that you hear on all the other ones. Just, insert here. We'll do